Greetings one and all, and welcome to another episode of A Therapeutic Edge. Today on the table in front of us is another Twosun. This is another Mazwan Mokhtar design. This is the TS 137. This is a fantastic little cleaver. Now, again, I'm not a huge fan of small knives. I've mentioned that on the channel a couple of times, and this is. But there's a design mentality behind this, is the best way I can put it, that makes this small knife really nice. It's a front flipper. It's a good front flipper. I have trouble with smaller front flippers. Wow, that's a fun thing to say fast. Front flippers. And from the moment I picked this thing up, I had no trouble at all. It is well designed. Because of this flat spot right up here, this almost ramp right behind the sharpening choil, it isn't really a knife that's this big. It's a knife that's this big. And for what it's designed for, which is chopping and long slices and cutting of cardboard and things like that, this extra bit of handle that you have access to makes all the difference in the world. Now don't get me wrong, this is a small knife, but it's a small knife done really well. And that's part of that Mokhtar design. Again, we have carbon fiber on the show side, titanium on the lock side with a milled titanium clip. The backspacer is titanium. It is thoughtfully designed. There's a little bit of jimping back here in case you're really going to chop, and I'm not, but you might. It's light. It's fast at the pivot, which is really nice. It's got great action. It just sort of closes without too much effort or energy. Now, it is a little funny in the pocket because of the way that the cleaver swells, which means it's really wide at the top of the pocket and then gets narrow as it closes down. But you know, when you get into knives that have a deliberative design aesthetic like this one, you're going to get into some weird stuff like that, and I'm 100% behind it. I have seen these online where people have annoed them out in just a beautiful blue or, bronze if that's your thing, or purple. It looks fantastic that way. This is Twosun's typical D2, which to me, at least in my world and with my experience, means it is going to hold an edge. It's going to be relatively resistant, surprisingly resistant to rust and to marring. It's just good D2. It is one of their sort of party pieces. Now, Twosun does make knives in M390 and 12C27. They're expanding, even a few in S90V, and that's great. But their specialty, what they got started with and how they separated themselves from the pack when it comes to Chinese knives, is their D2. It is very good. And these knives come out of the box very, very sharp. I have never had a dull Twosun. This is no exception. This is a really slicey knife. Now, the other Mazwan Mokhtar designs that I have are the TS84 Orca, which I have mentioned, and recently I did a brief overview of its cousin here. Oh, see, it's funny what happens when the camera's on. This is the 136. They go together surprisingly well. Completely different design aesthetic. Wow, I can speak. But you can feel the sort of artist's similarities between them. You can tell where his head was at when he was putting these together, and it just makes for two excellent knives. So if you like cleavers, if you like smaller knives, if you like knives that just work, the TS 137 here is a great way to go. Now, I think, I don't know, 60 bucks, something like that, $65, maybe a little more. There's about the 14-day waiting period as it makes its way here on a slow boat from China. But I don't think you'll be disappointed. If you don't like small knives, if you don't like cleavers, don't buy this knife. There are 50 other Twosuns that will meet your needs. But if those things are good with you, and they are with me, at times, when done right, I do like cleavers. Actually, I have a lot of them. This is a great knife. I hope to see more from the designer. I'd love to see more from Twosun along these lines. And I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of what I think is a really interesting and a very cool knife from a very cool guy. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, or any Twosuns, or any of the knives you've seen on my channel, feel free to ask down in the comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.